Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Well, Joplin has a lot of organizations serving our community, and today we're focusing on the Joplin Rotary Club, recently celebrated 100 years of service to Joplin. Joining me, we have Bob Headlee and Charles Keeter. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you for inviting us.
We kind of set the tone for people when they say, well, what is Rotary? What's its purpose? How do you define that for man on the street, woman on the street definition?
Well, Rotary is it's actually a worldwide organization. It's a service club, but we do community projects and we do international projects. Probably the biggest community project that we've done recently is the Will Norton Miracle Field for special needs kids. It gives them an opportunity to play an organized sport, which they probably wouldn't have an opportunity to do any other way. And then we have lots of different projects across the world that we get involved with. We've done water purification in Haiti. We've done a sawmill project in Haiti. We've done a peanut butter factory project in Haiti.
We've done wheelchairs,
eyeglasses.
So a lot of needs in other countries where there are those needs in helping people out. And a lot of this raising funds, or do you send people to help out as well?
Yes, we do both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's bringing people together. Now, internationally, you have 33,000, I understand, or so chapters around the world. And,
Correct. 1.2 million members throughout the world. We're 136, 37 countries. So it's a huge organization made up of professional men and women. I think it's important that we're non-denominational, we're non-ethnic, we're non-gender. So that allows us the opportunity to do a lot of different projects throughout the world that other organizations aren't able to do.
So you don't have limitations like some organizations may have for membership and along those lines. So reasons people want to join Rotary. Of course, professional networking, getting to know other professionals in the community is one key attraction.
Well, that's how Rotary got started. It was started on the basis of getting to know other business people. It's still a excellent opportunity for networking among the community. But it's that giving back, projects involved. Rotary has been involved with the Polio Plus campaign for years. We are, as we say, we're that close to eradicating polio throughout the world. And Rotary was instrumental in putting that organization together. Obviously, the Bill and Linda Gates Foundation has partnered with Rotary to help us with that. But we believe in the next couple of years that we can eradicate polio worldwide. I read an interesting article last year about young people coming into Rotary, but they want to belong to an organization, not many organizations, but an organization that they feel is contributing back to the community, but it also has international opportunity and implication. And we are that club. Sometimes we don't get that message out as well as we should, but we are that club that does those projects. And I think that's one of the things that we want to focus on this year is how do we let the public know what all the projects we're involved with. We're always looking for new members. And so we have, the other thing that's happened for us the last year, we've established what we call an Interact Club. It's a club at the high school level over at Carl Junction. And then we have a Rotaract Club at MSSU. And so those youth coming through, hopefully as they get out of college, they stay within Rotary and take on positions within Rotary clubs wherever they end up being.
So it's important to recruit the younger generation, basically, with any organization, to keep people involved.
So, yeah.
What's the lifeblood? Whether it be business or whether it be an entity, it's bringing in those new people all the time that's important.
Now, do you have regular meetings where you get together on a weekly basis? Explain to people kind of the nuts and bolts operations of what you have.
We meet on Thursday at Twin Hills Golf and Country Club at 12 o'clock, and it runs for an hour. And every now and then we'll have a meeting somewhere else, maybe out here or maybe at TJ or maybe at one of our members' businesses so that we can tour their facility and see what that's like.
Now, you mentioned new members, so if someone's interested, what is the process to be able to be a member? What are the steps you might have to go through?
Well, basically, they need to talk to a member, and that member would agree to sponsor them. And then there's a process they go through. They fill out an application. It's going to be voted on by the club. And then we go through an orientation process. Charlie does a great job in heading that up, to sit down with them and explaining what the obligations are to be a Rotarian. And then we have a program once they actually come into the club. We call it the Red Badge program, but it's an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Rotary. It's an opportunity for the club to get to know them. And they have, we have 13 tasks that they must complete 8 of those tasks to earn their blue badge. And we've had people go through that program in 3 months. We've had people take a year. Just depends on what their schedules are and how fast they want to progress with that. But then they earn their blue badge, and then they're a full-fledged member of the Rotary Club.
So you're looking for people who you really want to be active members. It's not just put your name
Correct.
on a list to an organization.
That's right. You know, we also have, which is unique to our club, and that is an attendance policy. And that is that you are required to attend a certain number of meetings.
And activities and so forth.
Correct.
Great.
So that
So
encourages.
It encourages people to maintain that
Right.
involvement. So we had the 100th anniversary celebration in June, a big event. Going back, how did you get started in Joplin? What brought Rotary to Joplin?
Oh, wow.
Was it a group of businessmen back 100 years ago that said, we want a club? Or?
You know, I'm really not that old enough to be able to comment on that, but I think it was, our club was started from Kansas City by the Kansas City Club. So at that point in time, there had to have been some interest. For a club to get started, you have to have at least 25 interested people that are willing to step up and get involved. And so there were those, and
And that was a time when Joplin was growing. I mean, the time
exactly.
During that time
Exactly.
period, the business in Joplin was becoming a prosperous town. A lot of things were happening 100 years ago.
Well, I think if you kind of look back at some of the names, but they were community leaders, and they had found out a little bit about what Rotary is. You know, one of the things that I think Brad Belk did well for us at the Centennial Celebration was kind of take that group that was there that night through the 100 years and accomplishments that had been done through those 100 years. But there was a lot of activities that most of the people in that audience never knew happened. And when you look back through history, a lot of the members were heavily involved in the growth of Joplin. I thought one that was really interesting was leadership at that time. They were looking for a YMCA, and it was a group of Rotarians that loaded up business people on a train, took them to Kansas City to look at the Y, and then started asking for dollars when they brought them back. But it's how the Y downtown got started, was that from that initial stage. And if you look through, Rotary Club members were instrumental in starting the chamber, instrumental that some of those people were involved in the Freeman Hospital, and it just goes on and on and on.
There's a lot of ties
Clear.
between Joplin's history
Exactly.
and the Rotary.
Exactly.
Well, that video you mentioned, we'll have audience members a chance to view that, because we do have that. We recorded that evening, and that evening I know you had a special dinner. Both of you were very involved in planning it, but you also had a special guest, the international president. So tell me a little bit about that. That's pretty unique.
It was. There were 3 people that came together. Dr. Joe Newman was the president at the time, and Charlie and myself, and we were talking about, who could we bring that would have an impact. And we said, well, obviously the international president. And so we weren't sure that he would have the time. Joe Newman did a great job of putting together a letter to send in saying, this has been our accomplishments over the last couple of years, and would you be available to come to our banquet and be our keynote speaker for that celebration? And we were a little surprised when he said yes. The only stipulation he had is that I can only do it on this date. Can you have the banquet on that date?
So you scheduled your banquet so you could be there.
Exactly, but it's actually with all the activities around the world, it's unusual for a president to come celebrate a celebration like we had. But we were very pleased that he came. We thought he did an outstanding job with the keynote speech. And we got to know him a little bit better.
For our audience, we say international. He is truly international. He's from Sri Lanka.
Correct.
So you really had someone from overseas coming to visit the country while we were at the time.
Exactly.
Now that evening also, I know you also had some recognition of some of your members' accomplishments. So in-house recognition and thanks for people who have contributed.
Well, one of our long-term members is Mike Pence, and Mike has been very active in our Rotary Foundation, and he was awarded the District Meritorious Service Award that evening. And we also recognized, we have a Rotary Foundation, and we recognized some of those members, 20 some odd members that have reached different levels of giving in that foundation. And then our president and the Daybreak president received the recognition from the district as the Presidential Citation Award for the good job that they did during the year.
So ongoing projects, you mentioned the Will Norton Field early on. That people recognize that as a major contribution to the community.
Right.
It's something that's going to be permanent here in Joplin. They see that.
Yeah, and Rotarians are obviously on the board. Obviously, it was donated to the city, but that project came out of the 2011 tornado. After the tornado, we had Rotary clubs from throughout the world that sent dollars over to take care of Rotarians that were impacted by that storm and their families.
Right.
And once that was completed, there was extra dollars left over. And so I'm going to let Charlie talk about it. He was on that board.
What do we do with the money that's left then?
Right. Well, we did several things. We bought credit cards for the students at the high school, and we gave them credit cards, and we also did a Habitat for Humanity home, and then we with those funds that we had left over, we decided that we would build a Will Norton handicap field and a playground, and so. It's kind of a complicated process, but through the district and through Rotary International, we can apply for grants, and so we applied for a grant, and we received through that application $200,000 to help pay for the Will Norton Miracle Field.
So really kind of seed money here, but that the national international support made it really happen.
It was the kind of the change that let it move forward. There were local donations, obviously,
right.
But that was an amount that had such a significant impact on the project. You're talking about an $800,000 project.
Major project, right.
But if you go out and watch those young people play, that organized sport that never, and we have people come out and what they call them buddies, but I've told dozens and dozens of people, until you go out and observe that ball game, and those special needs kids, when either the high school or the college, one of the sports teams comes out to be their buddies, they just light up. Oh, yeah. It's a special. The positive is the kids that come out from the sports teams get as much enjoyment as helping. Yeah. It's just it's a warm feeling to watch that, and it's an ongoing program. They're now looking at maybe a little older group that could also participate. So it's just a special program that we were able to bring to Joplin.
Great, that's great. Well, I know, as I mentioned, we have some video that we're going to use in the second part of the program. You mentioned Brad Belk, a historical presentation, and your international president. So audience a chance to see those. But before we go, I'd like to thank both of you for visiting with me on the program.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And stay tuned, because we're going to take a look from the Centennial Celebration, some of the things that happened that evening.
We asked him if he wouldn't do a little history tonight of our Joplin Club. So Brad Belk, would you come up and take the stage?
Thank you, Bob. Good evening. This truly is an historic occasion. Fruit of enduring value. Rotarian Club founder Paul Harris stated it best. There's nothing vague or complex about the philosophy of Rotary. In fact, it is because of its simplicity that it has been acceptable to all, regardless of race, politics, or religion. It is a common denominator. To accept the philosophy of Rotary and to embrace it is the part of true wisdom. And it is the best possible inheritance for our children. better than annuities, life estates, insurance policies, and far better than $1 million. Plant the seeds of tolerance, kindness, friendliness, and usefulness in their fertile mind, and they will be sure to bring forth fruit of enduring value. These last words of fruit of enduring value aptly describe the story of the Joplin Rotary Club. The seeds were planted 100 years ago when on August 1st, 1916, the Joplin Rotary Club was officially chartered and assigned to number 243 on the Rotary International roster. The club's first charitable activity was the contribution of $100 to purchase shoes for those that could not afford them. By the winter of 1916, their philanthropic agenda was already set, with the primary objective of helping finance the new YMCA building at 5th and Wall. 1 year later, club members played an instrumental role in creating the Joplin Chamber of Commerce. For the next 100 years, Joplin Rotary Club members would play a major role in the material, moral, and social progress of the city of Joplin in southwest Missouri. During the 1920s, club members had an active hand in establishing the dental clinic for disadvantaged children. They planted memorial trees in Schifferdecker Park and established a second hospital known as Freeman Hospital. By 1930, club membership had passed the 100-member mark, and the Chats newsletter was published on a weekly basis. During the 1940s, the club established a camp for impoverished boys. Club members rallied support for a $1 million bond issue for a new Joplin sewage disposal facility. And during World War II, many of the members enlisted in armed forces, and those that did not remained at the home front, selling war bonds and making sure their businesses were fueling the military complex. By the 1950s, the Joplin Rotary Club began furnishing lunches to the physically challenged children of North Junior High. They took an active role in establishing the first television station in the area, KOAM, and found time to assist in creating the Joplin Boys Club. On February 10, 1966, 159 club members celebrated the 50th anniversary with a lavish banquet and program at the Scottish Rite, a commemorative event that uniquely resembles tonight's. In 1970, the Joplin landscape was ravaged by a vicious elm disease that was destroying the tree population. So just as so many cases before, the Rotary Club members rallied once again. This time under the direction of Rotarian Anthony Casab to distribute and plant trees throughout the community. 10 years later, the Joplin Rotary Community Fund was established. Since 1980, this powerful giving program has assisted local agencies like Missouri Boys State, American Field Service, Ozark Center, Golden Apple Awards, Cerebral Palsy, Missouri Head Injury, Rotary Year-Round Youth Exchange, Project Graduation, Joplin Little Theater, Joplin Family Y, Boys and Girls Club, Turnaround Ranch, George A. Spiva Center for the Arts, Watered Gardens, Lafayette House, Franklin Tech, Ozark Christian College, Missouri Southern State University, Pro Musica, Choices, Children's Haven, Success by Six, Community Support Services, and Joplin Promise. In addition, the club continues to provide annual financial assistance to the community clinic and the Salvation Army. The grandest project to date is the club's involvement in creation of the Will Norton Miracle Field. And no better title fits. It truly is a miracle field where the physically challenged have an unforgettable day at the park playing America's favorite pastime of baseball. The field also pays tribute to Will Norton, a beloved son of one of our club brothers. The central theme of the Joplin Club has been much more than having lunch with business associates and colleagues. The story is much deeper and profound. Assisting the physically challenged, coming to the aid in those in need, providing a child their very first book, and bolstering community agencies that make Joplin a better place are just a few of the service avenues the Joplin Rotary Club has followed. On the international level, the club has supported the near eradication of polio through Polio Plus and contributed heavily to the International Foundation. Members of our club have done worldwide missionary work by hand-delivering wheelchairs and installing clean water filters. It's been extremely challenging and unbelievably time-consuming to record this incredible story. But what I uncovered firsthand was an amazing account of a vast army of giving and compassionate group of businessmen and women that proudly call themselves Rotarians. Year after year, club members have willingly invested in our community by providing financial resources, volunteering time, and filling in need for leadership to support regional growth while offering fellowship to mankind. The members of the Joplin Rotary Club have accomplished this by investing substantial dollars and personal time in assisting people throughout Joplin and the world in their time of need. The list of past and present Rotary members reads like an elite business guide and a who's who directory of Joplin. Through the years, countless friendships and business associations have formed from the weekly luncheon meetings. Over the last 100 years, always representing a variety of occupations, these civic-minded and philanthropic people, proud of their community and country, have portrayed the club's motto of service above self. Indeed, Paul Harris was right. The fruit they planted has and will continue to have enduring value. Thank you.
It's my distinct honor at this time to introduce the Rotary International President. He asked me not to read his biography, but I think it probably is something that might be beneficial for you all to hear. So Ravi, I'm going to go ahead and read your little paragraph here. So Ravi is the CEO of a publicly listed company which he founded with the worldwide clientele in the tea packaging industry. He is from Sri Lanka, in case you didn't know. Does everybody know where Sri Lanka is? Huh? East or west? See, this is what I do. I quiz my fellow Rotarians. I'll move on, Bob. He also serves on the board of several other companies and charitable trusts. He is the founding president of the Sri Lanka Anti-Narcotics Association. As his country's National Polio Plus chair, Ravi headed a task force consisting of the government, UNICEF, and Rotary, and worked closely with UNICEF to successfully negotiate a ceasefire with the northern militants during National Immunization Days. As a third-generation Rotarian, since 1974, Ravi has served as the Rotary International as treasurer, director, foundation trustee, committee member, vice chair, chair, task force member. I'm getting a little tired here, Ravi. RI training leader and district governor. He also chaired the Schools Reawakening Project sponsored by Rotary clubs and districts in Sri Lanka to rebuild 25 tsunami-devastated schools to benefit 15,000 children. Was that in 2004? Is that when that happened? Ravi and his wife, Vanathi, are level 4 major owners of the Rotary Foundation. They have been married since 1975 and have 2 children and 1 grandchild. So without further ado, would you please join us on stage and President Ravi. Wow. Leaps tall buildings with a single bound too, apparently.
He's good, but he talks too much sometimes. Okay, President Joe, sit down now. President Joe is a very, very persuasive man. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I have a choice of 35,000 clubs around the world, and I'm here in Joplin, and I think the credit goes to him. As Vanathi said, we started with Hawaii, and we finish our term, and this is the last assignment for me in Joplin, and I'm so pleased that both of us were able to come here and share this momentous occasion with you. The thing I'll miss most when I go back is the entertainment that we've been having here with your politics. I mean, I wish we could have stayed here till November. It was fun. and my wife has become such a CNN addict now. Director Karen Vance, thank you for that presentation you made. She was an outstanding member of my board. And sometimes life is a little unfair because they do so much of the work, these directors, and the president gets all the credit. Thank you, Karen, for what you've been doing for us. You have a great district governor in Larry Long. He's really taken this district way up. And I must thank him for what you've done, Larry. It was a great performance this year, and I was privileged. I was privileged to serve with you. When we eventually decided to come here, there were a couple of conditions that had to be met. One of them was a direct flight so that I could get back to office hopefully by about lunchtime tomorrow, because I still got a few things to wind up before the 30th I hand over to President John Germ. And then today when I came to the airport, I was a little confused because my ticket says one city, the boarding card said something else, and I went up to the boarding gate, it said Bentonville. And I said, what the hell is happening here? And then they said, no, worries, all three are the same place. So here I am. But there was another reason why I agreed to come here. And that reason was that I know of this calamity that swept through this place 5 years ago. And I share that pain with you because my country went through a similar fate 10 or 11 years ago when a tsunami killed almost 60,000 people, destroyed 1/3 of the country. But you know, when calamities like this happen, it also is an occasion for us to show what we are. And I can tell you, the government will acknowledge that in my country, if not for Rotary, the country would probably have suffered more. The initial reaction, of course, is, first aid, bandages, water. And then we realized if you thought smart, you could do a little better than that. After all, what the tsunami did was contaminate all the wells. So rather than delivering water to everyone, we spoke to a couple of Rotarians overseas. They sent us sludge pumps, and we mounted it on Land Rovers and Jeeps, took it and cleaned out all the wells. The water became drinkable. But we knew we had to do something substantial, like what you've done here. I mean, I was very impressed with this Will Norton Miracle League field.
I'm Judy Stiles. I'd like to thank you very much for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Hope you can join me again next week at the same time on this station. We'll see you then.